Welcome everybody. Today we will discuss about a new method for solving the nonlinear equations or transcendental equations, which is called the Regula Falsi method. So this method is similar to the bisection method, but in this case narrowing down the interval is different from the bisection method. So in the bisection method, we exactly we exactly make the interval half each and every iteration, and in this way we narrow down the interval. But in case of Regula Falsi method, we have a formula. We use that formula to narrow down the interval. Okay, so just what I am saying is that suppose there is an equation f of x, okay, and the interval is given as a and b. So what is the meaning? The meaning is that the root of the equation f of x lies within the interval a and b. So similar to the previous case, that is the bisection method. If anybody has any confusion regarding the bisection method, please see my lecture on bisection method. So what is that? Suppose I am using a graphical solution. Sorry for the drawing. So that is the x-axis, that is the y-axis. So the nonlinear equation looks like this. Let us assume that. In this case, suppose the interval a is here and b is here. So just what we can do, what is the meaning of the interval a and b? So the a lies here on this x-axis and b, the point b, lies here on this y-axis. And f of a, that is this point, corresponds to f of a, that is the corresponding value of y. And the f of b, that is the corresponding value of y. So as we can see here, f of b is negative in nature and f of a is positive in nature. So what we can say, f of a and f of b are of different signs, where f of a is positive and f of b is negative. F of a is positive and f of b is negative. Okay. So this interval a and b will be narrowed down. That is first So the interval will be narrowed down in such a way that suppose this is the interval. Suppose this is the interval a, b on the x-axis, and suppose this is our new point C. I will tell you how to find out C, and in that case either we will choose AC or CB. Let us, so in every iteration either this will be chosen or this will be chosen based on the signs. So how, I will tell you later. But in this way, the interval will be narrowed down. Suppose initially this interval is chosen, so this interval is discarded. Next, suppose, so now our interval is like this, AC, and that becomes our new interval AB. So C is equal to, B is equal to C now. Next, suppose C is like this, the C point lies here. So then suppose we choose based on the values of A and C, or C and B, f of A, f of C and f of B, we have to choose which interval we have to take. So suppose we choose this interval and this gets discarded. Okay. So in this way, you see the interval is being narrowed down. And finally, and we have to update A and B accordingly. That is, when f of A into f of C is less than 0, that is, both are of different signs, then we have to update B as C. And when f of C into f of B are of different signs, that is, f of C into f of B is less than 0, then we have to choose A is equal to C. So in this way, each and every time we have to update A and B. And what is the formula for C? So the formula for C is, when A and B are given, that is, the interval is given in which the root lies. So C will be like this. A new point C is A minus f of A into B minus A divided by f of B minus f of A. So here only in this formula lies the difference between bisection method and the regular Falsi method. So in case of bisection method, what is C? C is only A plus B by 2. But in this case, C is A minus, as I have written, f of A into B minus A divided by f of B minus f of A. Okay. So that is the only difference. Okay. So now if we want to know the steps. So steps of, that is how to solve. Steps of Regula Falsi method. Steps of Regula Falsi method. What are the steps? Step 1. Step 1 is we choose two initial points that will be given to you, A, B, such that the initial points A and B such that f of A and f of B are of different signs. F of B and f of A and f of B are of different signs. Okay. So f of A into f of B will be less than 0. That is, if one is negative and one is positive, obviously the f of A into f of B will be less than 0. Okay. So if this is so, then only the root will lie between the root of the equation, the root of f of x will lie between A and B. A and B. Okay. Now step 2, we have to find out f of A and f of B. We have already find out. So okay. We discard this. We have to find if a new point C, which is equal to C is equal to A minus f of A into B minus A divided by f of B minus f of A. Okay. So that is the point C. Now determine step 3. Now determine f of C. If f of C is equal to 0, then we stop and we say C is the root of the equation. Okay, root of the equation f of x. Otherwise, what we have to do? Otherwise, we determine f of C and we check whether f of a and f of c are of different signs. That is, whether f of a and f of c is less than 0. If it is so, then we update b as c. So then the interval becomes ab. Otherwise, if we find that f of c into f of b is less than 0, then we update a as c. Okay, so that is the main thing. This is also same as the bisection method. Step 3 is also same as the bisection method. And this step we have to repeat again and again until, so we have to repeat step 3, repeat step 3 or step 2, step 3, step 2, step 3 until either the absolute value of f of c is less than a predefined tolerance level, that is, it is very close to 0, a predefined tolerance level that is very close to 0 tolerance level, or the interval a comma b is sufficiently small. I will show you in the example. Okay, so these are the steps that we have to follow for regular. Okay, now let us see an example of Regula Falsi method. Okay, so what is the question? Find the root of the equation f of x is equal to x cube minus x minus 2 in the interval 1, 2. Okay. So what is given? Given a is equal to 1, b is equal to 2, and first we have to check, that is, whether f of a, which is f of 1, that, and f of b, which is f of 2. So both f of a and f of b are of different signs or not. So f of 1 means 1 cube. We are just putting the value 1 in the equation fx. Okay. So 1 cube minus 1 minus 2, that means minus 2. So it is negative, that means less than 0. And f of 2 is 2 cube minus 2 minus 2. Okay. So it is 4, which is greater than 0. So just we can say that f of 1 into f of 2, which is minus 2 into minus 2 into 4, so it is minus 8. So as one is negative, one is positive, so it should be obviously negative, that is less than 0. And since f of a and f of b are of different signs, so the root lies within the interval, within the interval 1, 2. Okay. Now, we will start our iteration 1. So, let us move to iteration number 1. Let me just delete this page contents and move on to iteration number 1. So, what is our iteration number 1? Iteration 1. At iteration 1, what we see? A is equal to already given, that is 1. B is equal to already given, that is 2. F of A is minus 2. F of B is 4, that we have already calculated. Now we have to find the value C. So what is the value C? C is A minus f of A into B minus A divided by f of B minus f of A. So what is the value? A is 1 minus f of A means minus 2 into B minus A. B means 2, A means 1 divided by f of B minus f of A, that is minus of minus 2. So what is the value? If we just calculate, the value will become 1.3333. Okay. So we have found C as 1.3333 and we now calculate f of C. F of C is, we just put the value 1.3333 in the equation f of x, that is 1.3333 whole cube minus 1.3333 minus 2, that means it is minus 0.1481. Sorry, 0.1481, that is negative. So f of A is negative, f of C is negative, so both are of same signs. But f of B is positive and f of C is negative, so both are of different signs. So obviously we can conclude that f of C into f of B, remember our step 3, f of C into f of B is less than 0, and if so, then we will update A as C. So our new A for next iteration will be A will be C. So A is now 1.31 point. Sorry for the interruption. So C will be now 1.3333. Okay, so that is that. So A is 1.3333 and B will be same, that is 2. Okay, now we move on to the next iteration. Let us delete the page content and move on to iteration number 2. So what is our iteration number 2? At iteration 2, we find our new A as 1.3333. The B is same as 2 and f of A is, we have already calculated, minus 0. F of A is minus 0.1481 and f of B is 4. Okay, f of B is 4. Now again we calculate C. C is equal to A minus f of A into B minus A divided by f of B minus f of A. So our A is A is 1.3333 minus f of A, minus our f of A. F of A means minus 0.1481 into B minus A. That means 2 minus 1.3333. Okay. Divided by f of B minus f of A. That means 4 minus of 0.1481. And that is equal to, if we calculate this, we will find f of C will be equal to 1.3672. Okay, so that is our new C. Now, what will be f of C? F of C is 1.3672. We just put the value of C in the place of x. It will be 1.3672 whole cube minus 1.3672 minus 2, which is equal to 0.1197. So in this case, we see f of A is negative and f of C is positive. So both are of different signs. But in this case, f of B is 4. In this case, f of B is 4 and f of C is positive. So both are of positive signs. So f of B into f of C are not of different signs. They are of same signs. So in this case, f of a into f of c is less than 0. That is, f of a is negative, f of c is positive. So obviously f of a into f of c is negative. That means less than 0. So we update c as b, or sorry, b as c. So our new b will be our value of c. That means 1.3672. Now let us move on to iteration number 3. Okay. Now just we delete this content and we move on to iteration number 3. So at iteration 3, what is our value? What is our value of A? A is 1.3333. P is equal to 1.3672, and we have already calculated f of A is minus 0.1481 and f of B is 0.1197, and we have to now find out the C. Okay. So we now calculate our new C, which is equal to A minus f of A into B minus A divided by f of B minus f of A. Okay. So A means our 1.3333 minus f of A means it is minus 0.1481 into B minus A. B means 1.3672 minus 1.3333. Just one thing I have already forgot to tell you. Just see that the interval is now AB, which is 1.3333, comma 1.3672, 1.3333 and 1.3672. So you see, previously the interval was, initially the interval was 1, 2. Now it has got reduced, that is 1.3333, 1.3672. So see, the interval is getting narrowed down. Okay. Let us move on to the equation for finding out C. So f of B is 0.1197 minus f of A. F of A means minus 0.1481. If we calculate this, the value will become, it will become 1.3513. Okay. So we have to now calculate f of C. So I am writing just here. F of C is, we just put the value of 1. C in the equation, 1.3513 whole cube minus 1.3513 minus 2, which is equal to minus 0.0061. So in this case, in iteration 3, we see that our f of C is negative, our f of A is negative. So f of A and f of C both are both are of same signs. So this will not help us. But if the signs of f of C and f of B are opposite, that is, one f of C is negative and f of B is positive, so we can obviously conclude that f of C into f of B is less than 0. So our new A will be C. So A now will become 1.3513. Okay. Now we move on to our next iteration, that is iteration number 4. So we delete this page content and we move on to our iteration number 4. So what is iteration number 4? Just continuing from iteration 3, we find our new A is 1.3513. Our new B is B is same as the previous, 3672, and f of a we already calculated. F of a is minus 0. This is already calculated, 0.0061, and f of b is f of b we already know, f of b is 0.1197. Okay. Now again we have to calculate our c. So c is now a minus the same formula, a minus f of a into b minus a divided by f of b minus f of a. Okay. So a is now 1.3513 minus f of a, that means minus 0.0061 into b minus a, that means 1.3672, 1.3672 minus 1.3513, 1.3513, and f of b minus f of a, that means 0.1197 minus of minus 0.0061. Okay. Now if we calculate this, this will become 1.3535. Okay. So we now have to calculate our f of c. So f of c is f of c sorry. So our f of c is 1.3535 whole cube minus 1.3535 minus 2. That means 0. If we calculate 0.0003. So we see f of a is negative, f of c is positive, but f of b is positive, f of c is also positive. So both are of same signs, but f of a and f of c are of different signs. So f of a into f of c will obviously be negative, and as it is negative, so we update b as c. So our new b will be the value of c, that is 1.3535. Okay. So now we have to proceed to iteration number 5. So we move on to iteration number 5. Let me delete this page content and we move on to iteration number 5. So just iteration number 5, what we see at iteration 5, we see that a is equal to 1.3513, b is equal to 1.3535. Now see, the interval is so much reduced. It is 1.3513 and 1.3535. It is very reduced. So we already have calculated f of a. F of a is minus 0.0061 and f of b is 0.0003. So we now calculate c again. C is a minus f of a into b minus a. B minus a divided by f of b minus f of a. Okay. So a is our 1.3513 minus f of a is minus 0.0061 into b minus a, that means 1.3535 minus 1.3513 divided by f of b into f of b minus f of a, 0.0003 minus 0.0061. Okay. So C will now become 1.3520. And we have to calculate f of C now. So what is our f of C? F of C is 1.3520 whole cube minus 1.353 minus 1.3520 minus 2, and it will become minus 0.0001. You see that is very close to 0. F of c is very close to 0 and our f of c is 1.3520. So previous c, what is our previous c? That is our b. Here it is written 3535 and now it is 3520. So the interval is, or the value of in the previous iteration, that is at iteration 4, the value of c was 1.3535 and at iteration number 5 the value of c is 1.3520. So now, and what we have seen that f of c is very low. So we now can stop, and what we can conclude? Just we are now at the end of, so we don't need to do another iteration. We can stop, and what we can say? We can say that since there is no significant change, in the value of approximate root. That is, whatever we are finding out here in numerical analysis, everything is the approximation. Okay. So in the approximate root, the final answer, that is the answer using Regula Falsi method, we find the root as, which is approximately x is equal to 1.3520. So this is our answer. Okay. So for the equation x cube minus x minus 2, and it was given that the root lies in the interval 1, 2. We find the root as, approximate root as 1.3520. Thank you for your patient hearing.